What is up, everybody? I am back, and today I am looking at the evolution of the Predator, the 9th video on my channel overall, and the 2nd ever sci-fi video. It's probably not my favorite sci-fi franchise. The first Predator movie is really good, but none of those of the original series is like a top tier, like Terminator or the original Alien or Aliens. Like, I'd probably put RoboCop 2 above Predator, which I think a lot of people probably disagree with. Like, let's face facts here. Most people don't like RoboCop 2 as much as I do. But to me, I think the Predator is like a pretty good sci-fi franchise. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the AVP films, although I think they work a little bit better inside the Predator franchise. They always kind of felt more like Predator films to me. Since the aliens are just like these like screeching creatures basically in them, and then they have to kind of give the Predators a bit more personality. I kind of like that they added a bit of lore to the franchise, but as far as like, you know, movies go, they're not that well made. I was happy to cover this character because I think a lot of the designs are actually really cool. The original design of the first Alien is amazing, and the design of him in the sequels are also pretty good. Some of them missed the mark here and there, although just the base model is still really good. So first of all, I have a Funko Pop. I'm not a huge Funko Pop collector, but I thought this one looked pretty cool. He has like the little lights on him when he's like coming out of the water. I also got a Dutch, which is an Arnold Schwarzenegger Pop, which I thought looked pretty cool too, him covered in mud. Pretty iconic scene there. And then I have the first two films on VHS. This one is, I think, the original release, possibly. And this one is a later release, I think. But also, I really just love this cover. And then we have the Predator DVD. I just really like this slip cover. I got it at like a thrift store. So I have the original Predator on Blu-ray. This is the Ultimate Edition, apparently. And I have Predators, the third one, on Blu-ray. But with that said, let's take a look back at my 2nd ever sci-fi video, The Evolution of the Predator, right now.
The Predator is the perfect hunter, but not every Predator is born equal.
I was going to originally make this a blueprint as well, but I was like, you know, I want to switch it up a little bit. So instead I was like, let's make it look more like a homework assignment. The Perfect Hunter's Evolution? What did I say? Draw the Perfect Hunter's Evolution. Yep, that works for me.
Born equal. From the Central American jungle to the LA cityscape and beyond, let's go through their evolution. The Predator first appears in 1987's Predator, featuring his trademark dreadlocks, silver armor, advanced weaponry, thermal vision.
Getting this thermal vision to work, it took a little bit. I had to do it in After Effects, I had to mess around with like colors, but I think it actually worked out pretty good. It looks kind of like the thermal vision.
And cloaking abilities.
Oh, and the cloaking abilities. That's another After Effects thing here. Oh, I think I just brought the opacity down and like made things a little bluish, because you can kind of see an outline of the Predator in the movies. I think I did a pretty good job. I'm gonna pat my back. There we go.
Hunts down a series of army personnel in the jungle before going head-to-head with their major.
Yeah, that's not a great drawing of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He definitely looks a lot chunkier here than he probably actually is. His head looks like a big avocado. So, you know, that's not great. But, you know, I think it works well enough. I think I should have covered him in mud, maybe. That would have, like, hidden this design. But at the time, I was just like, I gotta make the Predator look good. I can't be too worried about what Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like. I have a Terminator video now where I draw a really good-looking Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a hard person to draw right. I found him to be, like, one of the hardest designs that I've done. Maybe it's just me, but, like, he's such a iconic-looking person that if you, like, mess up on his drawing, it's pretty obvious.
After revealing his large, noseless face with distinct mandibles, he gets hit by a stump and chooses to self-destruct. Predator 2 introduces a new, more colorful Predator, with bronzed armor, and his face, when shown, is steeper and heavily fanged.
I really like the look of the Predator in the second film. It might be my favorite. It might be. Or maybe not. I don't know.
After getting mixed up in an LA drug war, a lieutenant tracks him down and takes him out.
And it's okay for YouTube because it's just green blood. That's not real blood. It's green.
Prompts his fellow Predator clan members to uncloak and pick up their...
Like, I didn't want to explain every single Predator. There's so many Predators in the background at the end of Predator 2. If I were to do it now, I might point them out more. Like, I think NECA Toys released like a toy for almost each one of them. I think they're called the Lost Predators or something. And that's where I got a lot of my reference from, because you can't really see them too well in the movie.
Defeated friend, with the eldest member honoring the lieutenant with an antique pistol for a fair fight.
Apparently, the next movie might show why this pistol exists, possibly? I don't know. It takes place in the past. We'll see if that comes into play at all. I don't know. We'll find out in August, unless I don't upload that video until August. Then I'll just look like a fool.
The crossover film, Alien vs. Predator, features 3 heavily armored predators with unique masks who set out to hunt a pack of xenomorphs in an ancient
Yeah, I kind of like their masks here. I like they all kind of look like they have their own unique look. Obviously, like the main one is like the most simple, most like big, like back to basics kind of look.
rite of passage. While 2 of the predators are taken out pretty quickly, the 3rd one manages to defeat a xenomorph and marks his face in victory, leaving him exposed to a leaping facehugger. Apparently unharmed, the predator teams up with a young woman to take down a queen xenomorph.
You know, they use like Queen Xenomorph design here. I think it actually looks a little bit different from, I guess, the Aliens film. Well, they might have even used the same puppet, I don't know. Or the same mold, at least, I believe. But it's like maybe a little bit altered.
Only to be mortally wounded in battle. A caped elder uncloaks himself and rewards the human friend with an alien weapon.
They love just giving out weapons, apparently. That's like their thing. Hey, you killed someone we know? Here's a weapon. I don't know. They're a weird little colony.
The predator's body is then put on a ship, where it gives birth to the Predalien chestburster.
Yeah, that ending is like they were obviously setting it up that there was going to be some kind of alien predator mashup. It's in the comics, so obviously it's going to be in the movies. But I don't know. I don't mind the first film. It's okay. It breaks the canon for the Alien films, especially now since Ridley Scott has done like his actual prequels to it, and they kind of work inside of the Predator films, I suppose.
Aliens vs. Predator, Requiem, picks up with the Predalien, now fully grown, as he causes the ship to crash back on Earth. When he and a posse of
I heard people say that he's like Naruto running. I don't know what that means.
facehuggers escape, a grizzled and scarred predator sets out to confront the abominable.
And this movie is so dark. It's so dark. You can't even see what's going on. But I really like this design of this predator. His like scarred and grizzled look. He's like, what is it? I think he's called a wolf predator, and he's named after the wolf from Pulp Fiction, the character the wolf, the one who like comes in and cleans up the mess. He helps out Jules and Vincent, I believe, in that movie. And you know, to me, he's just a cool-looking predator. I'm not sure how much he's like Harvey Keitel's character in that movie, but yeah, I really like the design, especially the glossy eyes. I think that's kind of cool.
Combo. But whoever wins doesn't really matter, because the government nukes the city, putting an end to this crossover series.
I like how I crossed out beloved franchise and crossover. It's not so beloved, but it does have its supporters, and you know, they're not like the worst films in the world, but you know, they're kind of just like cannon fodder.
But the Predator franchise carries on with Predators, in which a group of criminals are dropped onto an alien planet to be hunted.
Apparently, they're not all criminals getting dropped onto this alien planet. Some of them are just like warriors, or some of them are just army personnel or something. That's my bad. I think the Topher Grace's character here is definitely like a serial killer or something. Somehow the Predators knew that. I don't know why they wanted to go up against him. Actually, yeah, Topher Grace. Did he appear this same model-ish inside of my Spider-Man video? I would go take a look at that again when he becomes Venom in my Spider-Man one. And then I didn't even look at it when I was creating my other Topher Grace model for my Venom video, because at that point I was like, I gotta make him actually look like himself.
Their opponents include a pair of tracking hounds.
They call them Predator Hounds. I was like, I gotta make these guys have hounds. If you don't know, I have 2 Basset Hounds. One Benny, one Lester.
Predator hounds. A tusk-tracking predator that gets taken out by an exploding opponent. A bronze-armored predator with mechanical spying falcon drone who gets sliced by a sword-wielding
Green blood. It's okay, YouTube.
Yakuza member. And finally, a large leader predator with a jawed biomass covering his bulbous head.
I kind of like this look for the Predator. Like, these are like different Predators that have like different classes. That's why they kind of look quite a bit different than the original one and like the ones in the second film.
He obliterates a...
And they do have one from the first film here, although the model inside the movie, it doesn't look as good as the one from like the 1987 film. Yeah, it's just not as good. I'm not sure how like a movie comes out 20 years later and then somehow it doesn't look as good as a film 20 years before. Maybe it's a different modeling company.
Weakened classic-looking predator and eventually succumbs to wounds inflicted by a pair of hardened criminals. In the late...
And yeah, that's head spinning off thing. That's kind of used in the Michael video. It's also kind of used in the Jason video.
Eventually succumbs to wounds inflicted by a pair of hardened criminals. In the latest sequel, a shiny armored predator is knocked out and examined by a lab, which determines that he contains pieces of human DNA. He wakes up from the examination.
Yeah, I don't get why it's important that they have human DNA. It's like they're coming down and using our DNA to like make their own predators. I don't fully understand what was happening in this film. And the shiny look for him here, like it isn't amazing.
And sets out on a kill spree, only to be assassinated by a giant, heavily DNA spliced predator.
I do kind of like the design of the DNA splice predator. It's quite different. It's like, what DNA is like making this guy bigger? Like he's getting DNA from Earth? I feel like he's like, has like rhino DNA or something. It definitely isn't human DNA in this one.
Armed with his own pack of hounds, he snatches an autistic boy for DNA harvesting, but after losing his arm, gets taken down by an explosion and a round of bullets, confirming that there's no need to act.
That's kind of a complicated animation to do there. I'm just gonna toot my own horn.
DNA harvesting, but after losing his arm, gets taken down by an explosion and a round of bullets, confirming that there's no need to...
I guess I'm just feel like in a tooting my own horn kind of mood.
No need to add extra DNA to an already perfect hunting creature.
So that's the evolution of the Predator. What did you guys think of the video when it first came out? And what do you think of this commentary video now? What's my story? So I was working a job and I was also working freelance, and then I was also working this channel at the time. The channel didn't make any money for the first 8 months, and I was like putting in what felt like full-time hours, and it was like starting to grow, but like there was a backlog at YouTube to get like monetized for channels. So I was like still waiting and waiting and waiting, and then eventually it got monetized, and then almost like 8 months after that, I was able to be like, hey, I think I can actually do this like channel full-time possibly. I'm starting to get some sponsors here. I'm starting to get just like a little bit more recognition. The channel's growing a little bit quicker. The Halloween season was really good for it that year. So I was like happy to like be like, oh, I think I can actually do this. And it was really scary, but I did it. So like halfway through this video, I started working on it full time. That's why I think the designs are a little bit better in this one. But yeah, I like how this video turned out. And I really grew to like the franchise. I definitely respect the first film a lot. It's by the same guy who directed the first Die Hard movie. So like, it's obviously a really competently made action movie. And I think the franchise itself is definitely more sci-fi action than like horror action. So to me, like, I like the Predator franchise. I think this video turned out pretty good. It's the first one I did full time. And then afterwards, I did a superhero after this. So until next time, I've been Aaron, and I'll tell you something later.
Fish head, fish head. I like eating fish head.